All right. Hello and welcome to The Joy of Writing. It's a podcast where I'm going to reflect on the things that I've learned in this course. My name is James Bowden, and today I'm talking with my wife, Baily Bowden, who's here to help kind of guide the conversation along and make sure we don't stray too far from what we're talking about. This podcast is a final project for the English 333 class, and I'm going to be talking about kind of some of the biggest takeaways that I've had in the class, and speaking specifically on one specific project that we did, which was my Make Cycle 2 that I did. If you would like to start with the first question.
Yeah, hi. Thanks so much for having me. So James, what is something major that you feel like you've taken from this course?
I think that for me, the biggest takeaway that I've had is a pretty big shift in my thinking on what writing is exactly. I used to kind of think about, especially with teaching writing, you're kind of just being a stickler on spelling and punctuation and proper grammar and all that. But in this, it was really nice to kind of see that it's more than just that. That kind of stuff is just part of the process of writing, and I got to learn in this course about kind of giving students more choice and freedom in their writing, and not being so like by the books about some things. Allowing for that kind of creativity and freedom in their writing allows them to take things like mentor texts and kind of mold them into like brand new things. And it was really kind of cool to see how vital that can be to the process for some of these kids. They definitely in some of the things that I read, like it helps them become much more confident. And even in some of the teaching that I've done in person, the writing is definitely inspired by some of these things, and getting to see the mentor text play such a big part in the process it was really cool in this class.
So I noticed you've mentioned a couple times mentor text. Could you give like a little bit more detail on what exactly a mentor text is?
So we learned in here, mentor texts are kind of just the example pieces. So we had a project or a couple projects that we used mentor texts as the inspiration for the assignment itself. You're not copying it or doing like a direct clone, but you're pulling specific elements from that mentor writing or the base writing that you're going off of, and you're using those pieces, kind of piecing together almost like your own kind of Frankenstein piece of writing. And mentor texts are kind of just the base model that you're going off of, kind of building off of those. And we had a project earlier on that instead of directly copying exactly what it was, I kind of just used the mentor text as the guide for what I eventually came up with.
Oh, okay. All right. So my next question is, I know that you had mentioned a project that you created in this course. Can you tell me exactly what that was?
Yeah. So Make Cycle 2 was a make cycle that we did that asked us to use a mentor text and kind of create a new story that was inspired by the mentor text. And the mentor text that I ended up with that I decided to use was The Dot by Peter Reynolds, I believe. Peter Reynolds. And it was basically, the prompt that we were given was, you're supposed to think of a moment from school, and that's what was built off of, or that's what the the story itself was about, was a specific moment at school that this character Vashti had, where their teacher inspired them to like be more creative or whatever. And the inspiration for me was taking that specific moment in school that was impactful to you. And I wrote a story with exaggerations, obviously, but based off of a true story of a friend that I had at school that came to school with no lunch and had nothing to eat. And so I kind of turned it into something that was a little more entertaining, maybe, or appealing to children. And I made it like a kind of a mystery. Somebody took the lunch and you had to search for it. But I was able to utilize a website called Storyjumper, which actually allows you to create your own books, which is really, it's a very, very cool tool. But you can even pay to have them published.
Oh, okay.
Which, it is really cool. But I used it to create like a small children's book, and the first it was the only make that I also redid. And my initial attempt was just getting the story out, and I had like a couple pictures, but I didn't go too in depth with it. I just wanted to put the story out. But then when I remade it, I went in and I added a lot more images, and I got to see the benefit of kind of adding the color. And while it is nice to kind of have nothing and let your imagination go, having the guidelines of like what some of the stuff can look like, I think made it even easier to use your imagination. Like, it gave you some sort of basis that you could build off of. And that was actually, as simple as the project was and as simple as the final product like looked, it was one of the projects that I was most proud of in this class, because it was one of the ones that I got to kind of see grow and change with what I was learning in the class.
Okay. So what would you say in this course has surprised you the most?
I think the biggest surprise I got in this course was the benefits of allowing freedom in writing and not kind of, as I used the term stickler earlier, not being such a stickler for the rules on it, and allowing for the creativity and stuff to kind of just naturally come to the students or even to myself in the course. It definitely opened my eyes to how that would be very beneficial to students in the future.
Yeah, making students enjoy writing in the classroom.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, making sure that they like what they're doing, or at least trying to get them to like what they're doing.
Get the buy-in.
It feels like you get just way more effort and passion put into the project, and I think that's where you get your best products.
And so how do you think that's going to help you in your future classroom?
Well, it's definitely going to make sure that I put a massive emphasis on allowing the kids to kind of explore, what they want to do, and not kind of saying this is what it has to be, so do that. I want to make sure that, as you said, getting the buy-in from them, like, definitely I think ends up with the best content out of students. So with that, we're gonna go ahead and end. This was I had a good time.
Thanks for having me.
Of course, thank you, and thank you for this semester.